Welcome back to Dominating a Man's World, the podcast dedicated to highlighting women in male dominated industries, brought to you by the disaster experts at Bulldog. Today's guest is a queen in business development. I have Devan Livingston. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself to all the listeners, Devan?
Hello, everybody. My name is Devan Livingston, and I work for the Cohen Law Group. I've been with them for about 6 years, and my whole life I've been doing marketing and business development. Absolutely love it. So, thank you for having me, Isabel.
Awesome. It's a pleasure. Let's get started with a few things here. As you know, the podcast is, dominating a man's world. How us women dominate their world, basically. So, how is it, in your business development and going out to these shows and, trying to promote the Cohen Law Group? How is it working with all these males, basically, all these men?
I really I get along with men. I enjoy, working with men, sometimes even more so with women because they're easier, if you know what I mean. They're easier to deal with, you know what I mean? You just have to know what you're talking about, pretty much. You have to know the product you're selling or the product you're, talking about, and make sure that they understand it. So what I mean by that is if you can be a pretty face all day long, but if you don't know what you're talking about, you're not going to get their attention. So it's really good to know what you do and how to explain it to these guys. So especially at events, I've learned, you have certain booths that have, beautiful women, but they just don't know the product. So they'll look at them, but they'll pass right by. But with, if you know your product, you know what you're selling, you can sell it to anybody. So
I definitely agree with that. And how did you get started with the Cohen Law Group?
So I met Harvey the first time, at my interview, and my family has known him for many, many years, but the first day I met him was when I interviewed with him. And my family has been in the industry, more so much in the restoration industry, for a very long time. My uncle used to run a distributing company for restoration companies right here in Orlando, and then he sold it. And my family also runs the first flood house in Orlando. So pretty much what they do is they have a house, they flood it, and the restoration contractors come and teach you how to dry the house.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it really is very, very interesting. It's really cool. I mean, literally flood it, and they have from couch to carpet to tile to wood, and they teach the restoration contractors how to dry everything out so you can redo it. So they just continue to reflood the house every time, but they dry it accurately, so it helps.
That is awesome. I've actually heard of something similar for adjusters, where it's they have all this damage across this huge warehouse, and then they could go and identify it and try to see what it needs to do to get fixed. That's very interesting.
It is. So that's how. So pretty much my family's been in the industry. So funny story. My uncle was at a Magic game, and Harvey was at a Magic game, and they met, and they just started talking. And that's how my family actually met Harvey. And then fast forward 10, 15 years, I met Harvey, and I've always done marketing and helped building businesses and things like that. And I interviewed, and they hired me, and I love it. I mean, Cohen Law Group, Harvey, great company. I wouldn't work for any other attorney. He is a good person, a good boss. It's just a great environment to work with. So it's really, really nice.
I know you guys have a lot of attorneys at the Cohen Law Group. What's the ratio? Is it more women over men, or is it more men over women?
Well, when it comes to attorneys, we have a little bit. Well, when it comes to all together,
yeah, office environment, let's say.
I would say that there's more women. I definitely say. Now, attorneys, it's a little more men, just because there's not really a reason for that. But I mean, we just have, I think, a few more men when it comes to attorneys. But in general, it's more women.
So he's definitely someone I could bring on as one of my special guests to have an office full of women, and how that goes.
Oh, trust me. And plus, he has a daughter in law school right now. And so she's soon to be an attorney. And so she's a very, he's surrounded by women. He has 2 sisters, Harvey does. So he totally understands the women environment.
Now, yes. a funny question. Before business development, before marketing, what did you work in previously, before all of this, before this industry?
It's very funny. I actually work for a brain development center. So it was from kindergarten all the way up to 90 years old. And it was just help, people, kids that are struggling in school, kids that have autism, things like that. So I ran the office, and I helped promote the business to get business. And it just helped. It was a business that helped kids, in school to get better grades, to get better on their SATs, things like that. So.
Oh, that's
It's
definitely
very different, very, very different.
totally different. Yeah.
Yes. Like I said, I love people. I love selling. I love, business development. So guess what? I can do that with anything.
Yeah.
So that's why it wasn't that hard of a jump for me. So
Okay. I know you said at the beginning that you do get along with with the men. It's easy
yeah.
for you if you know your product. However, have you ever encountered any struggles in doing so? Like any problems at the beginning?
Well, when I first started with Harvey, I'm not going to name things, but I went to an event and I could tell, like, it was the first like month or two, and I went to this event and it was all men and I was the only woman. And, you know, I felt like, they weren't taking me seriously, I mean, they listened to me, but you could tell it was like, oh, just another girl, another woman. So I decided at that point that I'm really going to dive into this industry. So I, figured out, and I worked my way, and I actually joined to be on the board of an association, all men. I wanted to earn their respect. I wasn't just another woman or a pretty face or someone there just to, try to make them do. I want them to take me seriously. I wanted them to listen to me. So I joined the board and I dove right in, into the industry. So
That's cool. Yeah. I could definitely share in on that thought. There's so many times I've, myself been to events or something like that where it's primarily, male dominated. And sometimes when I begin speaking or, I begin trying to explain, it's like, oh, you're just another girl. You're just a girl who's an adjuster now. Great. But I think once, you do start talking to them with knowledge and, your confidence, that I think is definitely a push in the right direction. I think at that moment, once you could show them what you could do, they definitely right away, they respect you.
yeah, and it is, and the way, and I also feel like it's the way that others treat you as well.
Yeah.
You know, you present yourself in a way, you have to present yourself in a way that people to get respect. There's ways of doing that, and there's ways of not doing that. So I've always tried to, show myself as somebody who please, like, respect me and I'll respect you. And I always want to, do the right thing and be that person that people look up to and, want to get to know and want to do business with. So.
Yeah, even now with the virtual PA and everything that we have going on with the contractors, at the first, at our first initial call, it's always very like, oh, okay, yeah. And then when I call them with the results, the next call is like, hey, Isabel, what's up? Just checking in, just wanted to see, how everything's going. And now it's like a whole different conversation, and it's very like uptightish at the beginning. Like they know what they're doing, I have no idea what I'm doing, and then it kind of switches, and it's great. I just find it hilarious every single time.
I feel like that's both public adjusters and attorneys. They're like, oh, you're a law firm. I'm like, oh, give me a second. Let me explain to you. It's not what, it's not as scary as everybody thinks, because people like hear attorney, like, oh my gosh. But no, I mean, I feel like our industry and this industry is a great industry to get into for women. And, I'm a part of, National Women in Roofing, all these associations that, women are starting to be so involved in this industry and important. There's women business owners, things like that. You can't count anyone out. And sometimes working with, whether it be roofers or other, contractors and stuff like that, they, the women, even if the men own the company, sometimes the women are the ones that turn the head. They always say, the men are the head, the women are the neck that turn the head. So, it is one of those things that, women do control, especially husbands and wives, like, how that works.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay. Now that you're talking about the industry, is there anything you would like to see differently in the upcoming years? Any changes that you would make?
I would like, I would like women to be more involved. Like I know that we have a few women associations, but you know, I go to a lot of the other ones that are mainly men, dominated by men. I feel like more women should attend those things and not be afraid to speak their mind and, go to these events and things like that because they have ideas and they have things that are great and that men need to know about this. And so I just hope that that women in this industry get more involved, the wives or the women in the office, things like that. I think it's really important. Everybody has a different point of view and it's sometimes helpful. Like when we do classes all over the state, every time I go to one, I learn something new because people ask different questions and things I didn't think of. So, bringing in another aspect like women, we bring in that different aspect. So I feel like, I just hope women in our industry start getting more involved.
That's awesome. No, yeah, that's actually what I tried to do with this podcast. I feel like if they could, all the women can listen to it and hear that, hey, come on in, you're welcome. There's something here for you. It's not just, male dominated. So I think, that's really what I've been trying to put out there. And I really do hope that people are listening and, that they're motivated. They're like, you know what, I could also join that industry. It's not only just roofers and, contractors. It's women roofers and women contractors and women attorneys and women business development and women business owners. You know what I mean? Women adjusters, engineers, etc. There's so many of us in the industry.
Exactly. And the thing is, I was asked a question, not last year, but the year before at a convention, I was on the women's panel and I was asked, was there something that was like, is there something you haven't done in your life or your job has held you back on? And at that point in time, I said, no, nothing's held me back. I mean, mine is at that point in time, I was like, the one thing I haven't done is have a baby. That's one thing that I've really concentrated on my career. I didn't do it. And fast forward now, I have a little girl. I'm so blessed. She's beautiful. And I bring her to work. Just letting women know that they can do it all.
Yeah.
Like literally we can do it all. And sometimes we can do it better than men. Just saying. But I mean, like I bring her to work. I still work, there's nothing we can't do. You find a way to do it. And us women, we always find a way of doing it. So I just think that just to let women know, don't worry about things. Just get it done. Just get out there and get things done. And, if you have a baby, it doesn't matter because you can still do it. You can still have it all. So.
But Devan, how did you get that strength? Like, how did you know you were built for this? Like, at what point in your life did you say, like, I have this confidence? How did you gain it? It's just pretty much to help others. I feel like sometimes women listen in, but they're like, how do I get started?
Well, I feel like with me, it's been 8. As I've gotten older, I think it's really as I've gotten older and knowing that, don't take yourself too seriously. Go out there. You need to enjoy what you do. I enjoy what I do, so it makes it very easy for me. I've always been, just one of those people that I speak my mind. I don't let things hold me back. If I want to try something, I'm going to try it. If I'm not good at it, oh well. But that's the thing. I've, just really built myself and just realized that, I have the confidence I can do things. There's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it. And that's what women need to realize. Women need to realize that you can do anything you put your mind to, and don't ever let anybody tell you can't do something, because that's, it's on them. That's their problem, not your problem. Don't worry about everybody else. Even if they're saying something, don't worry about their problem. Concentrate on yourself and you can do it. So
you heard that, ladies. Are to all the listeners, Devan just said, just be yourself. Don't let anybody hold you back, and concentrate on you. Don't worry about what they're saying. Just concentrate on yourself. But I definitely have to agree with you, Devan, because I remember when we first met. You definitely were very, I think that's why we connected so quickly. You were very outspoken. I believe we met at Capitol Grill or something like that.
yes.
And, it was just, you really didn't care. You told it how it is. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to like Devan.
Yes. I think even Vince was like, well, her and Isabel got along real well. I was like, yes. It was like, I felt like it was like we were meant to be. Like, it was just one of those things that like, we hit it off right away. And that's,
And it was your energy. Honestly, it was the energy you brought when we first met. It was that confidence. I definitely knew. I'm like, I know what she's doing. I know she knows what she's doing. And she definitely brings the energy that, that we look for in, like, you know, knowing others. So that's great. And now a word from our sponsor.
This podcast is powered by the disaster experts at Bulldog Adjusters. As public adjusters, our team has helped thousands of homeowners across the country recover millions of dollars in their property damage insurance claims. We're proud to bring you this podcast and hope you enjoy listening.
I have a question, though. In between, you know, the baby now that you said you have, all this energy you have, I'm sure you're busy with, you know, Harvey all the time and the business development. But what do you do for your downtime? What do you do when you're not marketing, when you're not with Harvey and the baby?
Well, the thing is like, I mean, I spend time with my family, and, you know, the one thing I love about my job, I don't feel like it's a job.
Okay.
So I do it. It's pretty much a 24/7 job.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like, my job is pretty much making friends all around Florida, all around the United States. I love that. And so to me, I love doing my job. I love going to visit clients, or I love going to meet new people, because I'm building relationships. And so my free time, I'm still kind of doing that. Even when I'm still working, I'm always working. Whenever I see things or people say things, it's 24/7. But I mean, other than that, like, really I spend a lot of time with my family, and I like to do a little bit of traveling, love the beach, you know, and shopping and things like that. So that's what I really love. Yeah. So.
Oh, but the whole portion about the 24/7, that's, I think, the same thing on my side. I know sometimes it's the weekend, but I'm texting somebody about, like, hey, when we're going to get together the next week. But it's, you know, building connections for our companies, and, you know, making more, it's networking all the time, I think. And if
Exactly.
they have to text on Saturday, then I'm going to text on Saturday. You know?
Yeah. and like the other night, I was texting a new client at like 9:00. I'm like, I apologize, it's so late, but this is, like, you know, when I have some downtime to be able to talk more. And he's like, no problem. I'm surprised you're working. I'm like, oh, don't worry about this. It's 24/7. You're good.
Yeah. Sometimes with that is, like, I'll email people on, like, the weekends, and all of a sudden the next weekend they're like, hey, you didn't answer my Saturday email. I'm like, I don't answer them all the time, you know?
Exactly. Sometimes I do need, you know, right now my biggest thing is sleep. So, like, that is, like, my new, like, when I get some sleep, I'm like, yes.
So what do you think you're doing that other women in your industry are not doing?
That's a good question. I'm not saying that. I feel like that I am just myself, and I don't have to be or try anything but being myself. I do the right thing. I'm honest. I don't have to use my body to get what I want. I feel like, you know, sometimes women feel like they have to use other things besides their brain, and they don't have to. I mean, you literally, like, that's why I say know your business, know what you're doing. That's all you need, and you should be able to sell. You know what I mean? Don't have to use those other things that, you know, put a bad name on us. And not to say it does, you know, I mean, of course, you know, we love, you know, looking good and things like that. But I just feel like being honest and doing a good job, having a good work ethic is, you know, what I try to do. And I'm not, and, you know, I think other women do that, but I've seen at times, you know, women use other things besides their brain and stuff like that to get what they want.
Basically, you're trying to say, like, they use kind of like their looks and things to attract. And, but you know what that the problem is kind of what you said at the beginning of the podcast. They could approach it that way, but when it comes down to it and they actually have to talk about the product or the service, then it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
If you don't know that product and you don't have the knowledge for it, then that's when it's like, okay, cool, I came all this way, but this woman has no idea what she's speaking of, basically.
And that's the thing, like, you know, don't get me wrong. I love looking good. I love dressing. I love, you know, showing a little, you know, booty and whatever, some boot, you know, whatever. But I mean, I can still back it up with what I know.
Yeah.
And I can still, you know, I want to be taken seriously. I don't want to be another, you know, whatever people, men, you know, want to say, you know, it's hard enough for us to get respect from men sometimes. And so it's kind of one of those things. There's just a way of going about and doing things. And you just want to kind of do it the right way so that you earn that respect. And then after that, I feel like things just always fall into place once they respect you.
Yeah. So I've noticed a few times you touch on respect. So respect means, what does respect mean to you?
Just people, I always say men, women, just people knowing that, you know, they respect you. They don't, you know, they don't say things to put you down because they know that you're a good person. They know your work ethic. They know that you're not messing around, that, you know, they believe in you, and they know that they can trust in you. And trust is another huge thing in this industry, is people have to learn or have to know that they can trust you and they believe in what you say. And that's one thing that I can say, like, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that's what I want people to know. I want people, that's part of that respect and everything, just knowing that people, you know, can believe what I say when I say it.
Okay.
And,
yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I just know the reason I brought that up is that I noticed you mentioned respect quite a couple of times on the podcast, so I could see that means a lot to you. So,
yeah.
You know, having that person trust you and respect you is definitely really what matters in this industry at the end of the day, because we do bring in all these connections on all this networking. You're trusting someone with your work. You know, you bring this client on them, and you need to trust them at some point that they're going to do a good job for you.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like, you know, when I go out there, whatever company you work for or I work for or whatever, I do the marketing, and you pretty much do marketing as well, because, you know, you sell yourself, you sell your business to get, you know, business. Well, you're selling yourself. So the product you're selling, you want to be able to trust and believe in. And that's my biggest thing. I go out there and I sell it like it's my business. And I want people, and that's why I work for a company that I know that I can trust and believe in, that I know that they're going to do the right thing.
They can back you up.
Yeah. And I have a boss that I know, Harvey, who is an amazing person, human being, that I can always trust and rely on, that I know he's always going to do the right thing. And that's a huge thing. Not everybody has that. Not everybody works for a company that they trust, or that they know that someone's going to have their back, or, you know, that I know that, you know, there's never going to be those issues. And it's a big deal. And that he respects me, that our partners respect me, our clients, you know, that's a big deal as a woman. And I feel like working for somebody who respects you is a big deal.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thankfully, I don't have that issue.
No.
You're a bulldog. They're freaking fantastic. I would never want to change my boss either. But that's good. So, you know, just to try to, you know, get it to like a final note here, Devan, what tips, advice would you like to share to all the women, to all the men listening? What would you like to share to them?
Well, I mean, just believe in yourself, just do the right thing. And I feel like, and always be honest, always, you know, we're big at Cohen Law Group on client relationships, and just always treat somebody how you want to be treated. Just make sure, you know, you all pretty much do the right thing, and, you know, treat people with respect, and you'll get far. You really will.
Awesome. So if, you know, the listeners wanted to, you know, look a little bit further into the Cohen Law Group, how can they find you, huh?
You can find us on Facebook under Cohen Law Group. You can always email me at devon@itsaboutjustice.law. I give my cell phone number out, 407-702-3125. Harvey's cell phone. You know, we are very accessible, so you can call us anytime. We all are pretty much 24/7, and I'd love to help in any kind of way if anybody has any questions. I am a great resource in many different things. We're involved in many different things. My family's been in the industry for a long time, so we just have a lot of connections, and I'd be happy to help anybody out there who has any questions or need anything.
Awesome. I know they're also providing information for that new law. If anybody has any questions on that, you could definitely reach out to the Cohen Law Group on that. I believe you could reach out to Devan as well, maybe set something up with her.
Yes, we're doing classes all over Florida right now. We'll come out to your office, or you can come to our office. Harvey is doing classes on the SB 76 law. It's a big deal. Everybody needs to know and make sure you're doing the right thing so you don't get in trouble. So we're huge on education. So just make sure to reach out if you have any questions. It doesn't cost anything. It's always free to call us. We're here to help. Doesn't matter what time. We give out our cell phones to be able to help you guys. So please, reach out. We're here for you.
Well, thank you, Devan, for being on. I appreciate it. You were great. Thank you so much for speaking about, the law firm you work for, how you feel at the law firm, and, speaking to all the women who would appreciate to know that, as long as you shed out some respect and some trust, things would be better for them. Go ahead and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's at DAMW Podcast. And if you want to check out our website, that's www.damwpodcast.com. If you also want to be a special guest on the show, go ahead and reach out to us there. Dominating a Man's World is powered by Bulldog Adjusters, America's leading public adjusting firm that has helped homeowners just like you fight their insurance company to ensure they receive every dollar they deserve for their property damage insurance claims. Remember, ladies, your only competition is yourself. Wake up every day and push yourself to be better. Do better and strive for greatness.